Week 2. I'm out of practice. So I've been back home for a couple days now. So this is going to be a video about what I have been finishing and more than just working on when I was in the hospital, and a bit of health update. So hello everyone, welcome or welcome back to my very small place on the internet where I talk about my knitting life, my knitting adventures, and for the moment a bit of health updates that I'm gonna be placing at the end of the video. So if you are not interested into that, you can just keep it all together. My name is Isabelle. I am in France, in Normandy. It's a gorgeous weather today, and I am quite tired. It's quite late. I wanted to go have a little walk around my house, but I'm not going to be able to do that unless I don't film all of what I want to be filming about, and I think that's what I'm going to do, to be able to have a little walk outside, because I did take a long nap. And so I'm just gonna make it a bit shorter, and I record about the other things I've been working on knitting wise at a later date. And so today it's going to be a video about, as I just said, what I've finished and sometimes casted on and finished while in the hospital. There are 3 finished objects, and I will make another video at a later date about what I'm currently working on. As I said, a bit of life update. And as we are in the end of the month of September, I'm just gonna squeeze in a very little mindful buy segment, because I did not buy it. My son brought it for me from a trip in Ireland when I was in the hospital. So I have 2 skeins of yarn to show you. So if this is of any interest to you, please stay tuned. Okay, let's see if I remember how to do this. What am I wearing? It's warm, but at the beginning of the day it was not very warm. So I was cold, and I turned the heater on a couple days ago because I was very cold in my house. There was no sun. So with the sun today, I'm feeling a bit warm. I am wearing not a self-drafted t-shirt, because I did take some of the stitch counts from a pattern. The pattern is Slater, I think Slater, yes, by Slater T by Steen Holgan Johansson. I'm very sorry if I'm butchering your name. This is a free pattern, and I did use the beginning of the pattern to take some inspiration to make some, I'm not sure this is saddle shoulder as pure saddle shoulders, as you usually start with the shoulders and then you pick up for back and front. I did sort of like a raglan type of sweater, where you do not increase for the shoulders at the beginning, but you increase for the top, for the front, sorry, and the back. And there are no short rows, so you are knitting back and forth at the beginning, and then you gradually add the stitches that will form the front as you knit. So of course there is more fabric in the back than in the front, and then this makes the neck opening with a bit of a lower neck for the front. Thing is, I was not careful enough, and the neck opening is a bit too wide for me. I don't like when this neck opening is that wide. And you know when sometimes planets align, I don't like much this neck opening. But underneath I have a t-shirt that is so old. I got it before my first son was born, and he's 31 years old. So, but I don't wear it. I like it, but I like, it's a sturdy t-shirt. I like it, but I don't wear it because it has a boat neck and it has a very wide neck opening, and I don't like it. But it perfectly fits under this t-shirt, so under this or sweater. So yes, I was very happy I did not declutter it or gave it to someone or something or gave it away. So I'm using that t-shirt that is underneath, just a white and blue striped t-shirt. I made the neck opening, the bottom of the sleeves and the bottom of the sweater. I'm not going to stand up because I don't feel very comfortable in my body right now, but as a double knitting, but it's not double knitting as you need the two sides at the same time. I need the front, I need a purl row to mark the separation where I need to fold it back on itself. I did knit also a purl row to mark the beginning of the collar or the beginning of where the ribbing should be at the bottom of the sleeves and at the bottom of the sweater. Then I knit the inside part on smaller needles and then I sew it on. The yarn I used is yarn I got at Fil de la Manche when we went to this little yarn festival in Normandy before I went to the hospital with some friends and one of the ladies from one of the local yarn stores in my area. And this is Polo and Company pure silk, so it's bourrette de soie. It's that kind of raw silk that is not very shiny, and their mohair that was dyed in this purplish color. The details of the colors are in the description box down below and on my Ravelry knitting project. And this combo is extremely warm. You see the fluff of the mohair, so if you are sensitive to that and if mohair is not your jam, I'm sure this is gonna tickle you, not the right way, but it's very warm, it's very light, and it's gonna be a perfect transition piece because it's light and warm. I used all of the rest of the silk, the bourrette de soie, so you can see it single-stranded. You see, it's quite thin, it's less weight, and it's absolutely not shiny. So it's kind of a raw silk, and I made a bandana, and I used the idea from Punked, which is in one of the La Bien-Aimé's book. I think it's Neons and Neutrals. So I used the bourrette de soie as the main part of the bandana, and I used stitch counts from some other, bandanas that I've made. And with this lazy intarsia technique, where I did use some of my leftover mohairs, some of the La Bien-Aimé's, what's its name now? Air guitar, here to make the kind of squares there and the details. And I still have a very little small nugget of air guitar left, but I almost used everything. And I like the idea, as one of you said, that a lot of my past projects memories are into that bandana with this technique. So at the end, I went all the way to finish the bourrette de soie, and I did use that red mohair that I used for my mother's Christmas present last year to finish it. I think I asked you what to do for the mohair, and a lot of you said use the red, so I used the red, which is also here in that little square, or no, in that little circle here. And it's a very light and very pleasant little bandana that fits the purple of now the sweater, that can fit, that I've been wearing a lot, and you can punch it up into your bag. It takes no room, and whenever you are cold, it brings you warmth. So I'm very, very happy with that combo, the way I used the rest of the silk and what I made out of it. Okay, now for the main part of the video, or the main subject of the video, what I did finish when I was in the hospital. And two of them I've casted them on when I was in the hospital. So the first thing I finished, and I'm not going to be talking about the other work in progress because as I've said, it's quite late, and this is going to be a shorter video. I'm quite sorry. What I did finish was Louise by Natasha Hornby. So I knit Louise with Merci by Phil Colana, which is half merino, half cotton. And I really love this pattern, and I did, kind of gauge myself for the arm opening and the width with two other tanks I have that I bought in a store, and it's fitting me just perfectly, because also that kind of ribbing is a bit stretchy, so there is no negative ease. I think I'm just right on point with my ease and on my body measurements, and there is the very beautiful detail in the front. I made it much longer than what the pattern calls for. This is also the back that is a bit higher, and you have, the pattern is extremely well explained, very well written, full of very interesting details. You have these two parts that are on the outside of the tank that are different ribbing from the center of the tank. You have the little detail in the front. You have a split front and back hem. And I personally made the back a bit longer than the front. There are some also short rows to shape the bust. I made the short rows in the pattern. They are here, now around here. So if you look closely, you can see the short rows that I made to shape here to give some ease at the bust. And this is one of the reasons I wanted to make this pattern. I bought it the day she published it. I just came across the new pattern on Ravelry, and it was maybe the first or the third. So it was just at the moment she published it. And when I saw she was making bust darts, I was thinking, okay, I want to try that. So you have the other ones around here. You can see them a bit, but I have never knit any sweater with bust darts, and as I'm not quite comfortable in my body right now, what I do is that I size up so that I have ease, so that I'm not all bunched up around the bust, and then it doesn't show much. I think bust darts are really the answer whenever, so it's not here. It's really the answer, it's right here. It's really the answer when you are a bit busty and when you want to have a perfectly fitting garment, a sweater or a tank like that. In particular, when the piece has some kind of negative ease. My way of wearing that, my intention is to wear it under some kind of a shirt, not as is, a shirt under a jacket or something like that, when I want something that hides the top of my chest, but not something bulky underneath, something else that is open. That's the idea. So as I'm filming that, I have not written down and weighed it out how much I used. I think I used 3 and something balls of the Merci by Phil Colana, and I will also, you have the colorway, that kind of a khaki, very neutral khaki in my Ravelry project. Anyway, so first for me, those bust darts. When I saw the pattern, I immediately liked it. I do like it a lot. I do like it a lot now that it's finished. I intend to wear it. But let me tell you, and I'm looking at my project to see how long it took me to knit that one, and I did not open the page. Yeah, I have it here. So I casted it on at the end of June, on June 27th, and I finished it in the hospital on September 21st. 2 months to knit that, that is way too much. It should have been finished in less than a month because it's a quick knit. And I do not know why. I like the pattern. I like the idea of owning a piece like that, and I like the pattern that much that I want to make another one. Maybe not with a 1x1 ribbing or broken ribs here, maybe just plain stockinette, or maybe 10x1 type of, or 5x5 type of ribbing, something like that, but keep the idea of the outside of the tank, the inside of the v-neck, the buzz darts, the split hem. Keep everything, make another one. So you see, I like the idea of the finished piece. I like knitting with Merci, that is not very stretchy, but still a bit stretchy to knit with, so not hard on the hand. I like the color. I like the pattern, the way it is explained. You do not have to guess anything. Everything is written out and is very well written out. I was taking any opportunity to knit on something else rather than being knitting on this one. Why? I don't know, because I like everything on it. It was not complicated. I mean, you need to take attention when you are doing such kind of ribbing, because one side is plain ribbing and one row is plain ribbing, 1x1 ribbing, and one row is plain stockinette, but it's not difficult. All of the increases, decreases and everything were very well worded out in the pattern, so there was no guess and no what did she want to tell. No, everything is just perfect. Natasha Hornby's pattern are perfect. The front, I liked the idea of that, the color, the feel of the yarn in my hands. But I wanted the finished piece, and I had been thinking I will wear it in the hospital even if I have not blocked it and everything. And every opportunity I had to knit on something else, I did. So this is why it took me that much time to knit on this smaller piece. One thing is, and I do not know why, does it happen to you? There are patterns like that you enjoy, you like the idea, you like the yarn, you like the way the pattern is written, the way you have to execute it, no problem whatsoever, but it's always in not the naughty corner, because it's not a naughty pattern, but it's always in the corner and you pick up something else. Anyway, at some point I wanted to cast it on Mar, which I have, also by Natasha Hornby, when I was in the hospital, and I told to myself, you do not cast on Mar before you have finished Louise. So this is the motivation I found to finish on this one. Why? I don't know. One thing is I made it very long compared to what the pictures of the samples are and stuff like that, or even what other people have made. Because as I'm not very comfortable in my body right now, you may recall the last t-shirt I made in Maryland by Isayer, and it was a pattern by Marie-Amélie Designs. I had to knit on the bottom again, and rib back and add more length and add more ribbing at the bottom, because it was too short, and I'm not feeling comfortable with shorter pieces right now. So what my thinking was, make it longer so that you can wear it right now, and if one day I feel more comfortable with a shorter piece, I can always unravel the bottom and do the ribbing again. So this is why I decided to make it a bit longer, and it was absolutely not difficult. Yes, at some point you have to pay attention, but everything is written out. You don't have to guess anything, and as long as you're following the pattern, you will get a beautiful tank top. Why did it take me that much time? I have no idea. And when I'm wearing it, I like wearing it. And when I was knitting, I was thinking you will like to wear it. And it is true. I like to wear it. I blocked it. I did not wash it in the machine. I washed it in a bucket with some special soap for wool. It did dry out very quickly on my racks. I did not pin it down anywhere. So it's going to be a piece when the weather is warm. It's going to be easy whenever I want to wash it and have it dry out that way. What is there not to love about that? Nothing. Everything is positive. But in the meantime, when I was not knitting on Louise, I did cast on and finish 2 other things. Okay, next, something I thought I did cast it on when I was in the hospital, but no, I had casted it on before, August 27th. And because, of course, if I was thinking a bit, I could have remembered that. Because I had said that I knit with the rest of the maillot yarn I had in that blue, and I wanted to make a poncho. So to make the poncho, I wanted something reversible. So it's a fake fisherman rib, just knits and purls. Just knits and purls, and then you see you have a column of knits that stitches that go up. You have 3 stitches in the middle, a column of purl stitches that go up too, and some broken ribs on either side. You just search for tutorials for, broken or fake, or is that we say fake fisherman ribs in French, but maybe it's fake, maybe it's some other term. But anyway, it is reversible in the same blue as I had been knitting the t-shirt. It's 100% merino. And one of you quite rightfully said, are you sure you're gonna have enough for a poncho? Because I had a ball, so a ball is 300 meters or something like that, or even more. I had a ball and a half, something like that. And I was thinking, yes, I have enough. You were absolutely right. I did not have enough. So I casted on to make a big rectangle. So I made a small rectangle that I did sew up to a certain point on the side. So I knit that flat. I left an opening, and the idea is to wear it as a cowl that you can adjust if you want a large part that is at the neck or some part over your head or over mine. And on the side, as I did not sew it down all the way, so you see here there is the 2 parts, you can adjust it on the side and either have it all around your neck, or I can place it over my head if I need so, and have some kind of a, balaclava or hat or something. And if I don't want to roll it, I can leave it that way. And it's not butchering up around the neck because it's a bit longer. And I think it's going to be perfect under a coat, because with that type of opening here, there is room for the cowl to sit flat, under a coat or something else. And also to be around your neck and on several, you can make 3 or 4 layers and then be warm. So all in all, it did all finish quite well, because I got lucky, it was the right dimension for a cowl. I just got lucky. But you were so right that I had not enough yarn. Of course, I had not enough yarn to knit a poncho, so the poncho will be for some other time and some other yarn. Okay, next, the Musselburgh hat that I casted on and knit when I was in the hospital, and it took me 5 days to knit. I casted it on September 13th and I finished it on September 18th. So 5 days to knit a Musselburgh. When I was saying that I was taking any opportunity not to knit on Louise and knit on something else, the Musselburgh and the Cowl were one of the things I was knitting on. So I had this idea for this hat. I've had this idea for a very, very, very long time. So these yarns are from La Bien-Aimée, and these are from leftovers, not leftovers, from skeins I had bought to make one of the first of my sorrels that I knit with La Bien-Aimée's merino singles and her mohair. And when I had got all of the skeins, I think I did buy 4 or 5 skeins to make the fade of the sorrel. 4, I think. 4 or 5, I'm not sure I recall. I think, and I thought that Fury, which is here, and this one is Sosu, were not fitting my fade. So I called them, so we exchanged by email, I called them, and they suggested some other colorways that I did use in my sorrel. I'm sure I could have exchanged the skeins, but I did like them, so I kept them thinking I was going to make something, and one of these hats were one of the contenders. I guess in the meantime I had some other ideas, because of course you need just half of the skeins. Anyway, I started to knit a Musselburgh with Fury, a full Musselburgh with Fury. So I used all of it, and I ran into 2 issues, and you have it a little bit here. So I did alternate skeins because I had unraveled the hat since then. There is a bit of pulling, so I did alternate between 2 balls of Fury. I did alternate the skeins. So one, there was a big part of pulling at some point before I could realize and everything. And second, the hat was very big. I think my gauge was on point, and with the Musselburgh by Isolde Tig, you start knitting on the hat, and then she tells you what to do when you have enough fabric to measure your gauge. So I think I was on gauge given her, directions and stuff, but the hat was very big. So I did place some kind of an invisible elastic thread. I really did not like it. I was so unhappy. I unraveled it, and I had these 2 balls that I had been keeping to knit on a Musselburgh, and I had decided to pair it with Sosu. So Sosu is more, so Fury is more of a beigey base with some kind of a pink and rusty other speckles or highlights in them. Sosu is more of a gray base, and you have the same bit of more rusty highlights and the steel highlights. So I was thinking, good idea. I will have 2 hats out of one, whether I want the gray side or whether I want the pink side. And my idea, which now I realize was not a good idea, but now I know, and if I had asked you, I'm sure you would have said so. My idea was to micro stripe the brim part, the part that you can use as the brim or that you can fold up as a brim, micro stripe between the two. I think it would work with solids or less variegated than that, because here you can see from Fury, you can see the part that is a bit more gray and a bit more green, and from Sosu you see the part that is a bit lighter, a bit more cream based and a bit more pink, but you lose the striping effect. There is no, to me, you can't see any striping effect. Anyway, it does work. To me, it does work, not the way I had intended, and even though I was very careful not to pull too much, and I did, I think it's a bit too tight when I did change the colors. Anyway, that's gonna be hidden. I'm gonna hide that, I think. So you know, I like the final effect. I've been trying it on, and I like the final effect. So either you have the pink side, if I can tuck that in correctly, and I did use the small adult. I think there is a large child or small adult size. So either you do it that way with a bit of slouch at the end here, with the common part or the middle part that is just with the striped that way, or what I had in mind was to use it that way. I'm doing it in the in my computer view, and it's opposite side, so I'm not doing that very well. But anyway, you get the idea. You know, fold it so that you can have the 4 layers on your ears and with the pink side, or do the other way. And let me put that not very beautiful part on the other side, on the back. So with the, you know, kind of more gray, and I did put it a bit when I did dry it out to make it a bit longer, because I was afraid it was going to be a bit too short. And then that way, if I want to have the 4 layers on my ears when it's warm, and I still have a bit of a point at the top. So I do like it a lot. I have 2 heights for the price of an expensive one, because these are 2 skins of merino singles, so 4 hats. So, you know, it's kind of a luxury project. But anyway, I really liked knitting on it. Musselburgh is just plain stockinette, and it's very easy once you've passed the beginning and until you go to the diminishing of the tip of the other part. So it's a very mindless knitting. I'm not saying that Louise was a difficult knit. It was absolutely not. But I don't know why I did rush into finishing that part. I really enjoyed it. I was really wanting to see how it was going to be looking with the 2 parts and the micro stripes. I'm a bit disappointed at what I did with the micro stripes, but anyway, I'm not gonna redo that again, and I will know for future time that most probably if I had asked you, we would have told me, you would have, you know, suggested that I do not do micro stripes with variegated yarns. Maybe I should have done 2 or 3 rows of the same color to have it a clear stripe. But anyway, that's the way it is. I just did 1 row of each. And, you know, there is a difference that is, you know, clear enough for me between the gray and light gray here, and between, you know, pale beige and pink to more gray and darker side on the other side. So all in all, I like it, and I will be wearing it, because before I unraveled the first attempt at the Musselburgh with just Fury, I did wait for a very long time before I decided to unravel it because I was very sad. I was very sad that it was not working. I was mad at myself for not gauging myself better. And you see, this is the adult small, and it's not tight on my head. So I'm not sure if I want to have it very tight on my head or if I just want it that way. But anyway, it was way too big, and I was so disappointed at myself that it stayed for a long time in my drawer. And one day I decided I'm just gonna unravel that, take it to the hospital, and make the Musselburgh once I'm there. So these are the 3 knits I finished during my stay. I stayed for almost a month in the hospital, or also the rehab center, because when I say the hospital, is just to make it short, but it was also, I spent some time in a rehab center. So if you want to know more about that, I'm gonna be talking about it next. But I'm just gonna show you what my son has brought me from Ireland. So my eldest son, who lives in the area, and I was kind of expecting him to be sort of taking care of me when I was in the rehab center and come and see me and everything. He said, when you are in the rehab center, you are at the better place, and we want to take some vacation, so we are going on vacation at the time. Okay. My second son came for a week. When he was in Ireland, he stopped by a yarn store where he could get some Kerry woolen mill yarn. So I have 2 skeins of these teal. I mean, it's much greener than what the camera shows. I'm not sure which side, because I see it blue, but in person it's very green, very teal, very green, and the name of the color is teal tweed. So this is labeled as Aran wool. It's more of a worsted weight type of wool. I think Aran in the UK is worsted. So it's 200 grams, and how much yardage is there on there? 365 yards per 200 grams. So more of a worsted weight type of wool. I'm not sure how I can show it to you if you can see it, but it's much greener in person than what I see, at least in my monitor. So I have 2 skeins of this tweedy yarn. So there are some tweedy bits, some yellowish, greenish type of bits, and I guess some blue ones too. I guess I will find out once I knit with it. So I had enough time to daydream about what I was going to be making, and I think it's gonna match the gauge to the South Sisters. I think it's the name of the hat that I wanted to knit with the leftovers of my dazzler, the Derehom Natura Gilead that I had leftover, South Sister by Louise Smith, which is the hat that is on the South, with the South Sister on the page. I'm going to place pictures. A very beautiful hat with beautiful cables. And when I did start with the leftovers of the dark blue Gilead I had, I was thinking there is no point about knitting cables in a dark yarn that we won't show them. And I think this tealy one is going to be perfect. It's going to be matching the dazzler and some other neutral sweaters I have. But I think will have way too much of these 2 skeins to knit the hat. And originally I have brought other things here. I wanted to talk about what I'm going to be, or what I want to be casting on next, but I won't go too much into it. But to match this yarn, I think I will dig into some of my stash. So I have some Nurtured by Julia Slin, and this one, the colorway, I'm not sure it's Nurtured, or I think it's Nurtured is the type of yarn, and the colorway, I'm not sure. I will check that out. But I did knit my Galant sweater by Marie-Amélie, and I think the weight is going to be close enough. And there are some tweedy bits too in the Nurture that is more on a grayish beigey base. I have this Donegal yarn, which is also a tweed, but a tweed with the speckles that are in the same kind of colorway. I have 3 skeins of Nurtured. I have 3 skeins and a bit of this one too. So this Donegal yarn, there is absolutely no label on it, and I did get it in the Pyrenees in a mill. Even the lady, she said she buys it from a stockist in Ireland, and she gets. So there was no label at all for colorway or where it was, other than it was some kind of Donegal yarn. And I have this cone of yak. All of these are going to be kind of matching as far as the gauge, and kind of matching as far as the colorway of the colors. And I think I'm going to I have several ideas, some kind of a color work with these colors against the yak. And if I need something else, I do have 1 skein left of the rare Swiss wool. I did knit the Sovabeline sweater with it. This is all that I have left. It's a bit closer to Nurtured in terms of colorway, so if I don't have enough, I can use that one too. It's a bit thinner than the other ones, but I can maybe double it. And you see, all of these are kind of matching all together, and I think they are quite matching with the brownish gray background of the yak. So I have several ideas. And if I'm undecided, I'll ask you about a choice of a pattern, but I already have several ideas. So this is the little segment about my mindful buy, because for September, and of course I did not buy much because I was away. Okay, I'm quite sorry about my hair. I did wash it, but then I did have a nap, so it has a life of its own. So next, I just want to very quickly talk about the little knit-along I had suggested before I go to the hospital. You have made other suggestions about the subject of the knit-along, which I thought were very, very smart, and I'm going to take them on. I'm going to go with them. First is that rather than limiting to this pattern, which can be quite intimidating, and I am quite intimidated about it, so it's the wildflowers pattern. Maybe if you think, someone suggested that, maybe knit a shawl from a pattern that you have in your own library and with yarn that you have in your own stash. So you don't spend money on either a pattern or yarn for this knit along that is going to be with very loose regulations for a year or something. So I still haven't opened any thread in the on Ravelry so that we can share pictures and stuff like that. Before, I wanted to ask you if you were thinking that would be a good idea for you, and if it would work for you. That would be more inclusive. And also, this pattern can be quite intimidating. So for people, that was maybe a stopper. But if you do have yarn in your stash and a shawl pattern in your stash, that this little knit along can help you cast on and make, perfect. So if you are okay with that, please tell me down below, and I will open a Ravelry thread and I will let you know about that. I still haven't casted it on. I know the one of you with whom we had been talking about this little knit along could not resist and already has casted on, but I haven't casted on yet. So I will wait for your input, and if you are okay with that, this is where we are going to be going. I had brought other things I wanted to be talking about, but it's kind of late and I'm a bit tired, so I'm just gonna be talking about now about what's happened to me for or during the last month or months and a half. Okay, so at the beginning of September, we are on the 29th of September, and this video is going to be up the first Friday of October 2025. So at the beginning of September, so that less than a month, I did go to the hospital to undergo a surgery for a second hip replacement. Because, last year, if you've been here long enough, you know that last year I had a first hip replacement. I had been in pain for over 5 years. I had been reducing what I was able to be doing all over this time. And so the surgeon at some point had me have a knee injection because I had also a lot of pain in my knee. It did work for 3 months, and then everything went down the hill as time went by. So the decision to have the first hip replacement was made sometime at the spring or at the beginning of the year 2024, and I had it done at the beginning of September 2024. When I went, I did go to see the surgeon in December. It was on a not scheduled appointment, saying my other hip is bothering me, I'm in much pain. What do we do? And he said, you are not in constant pain and we do not do preventive surgery here, so let's wait. So I did wait. When I went to the 6 months post-surgery appointment that was scheduled, he said, so how is your hip doing? And I said, well, I don't know. My fixed hip, the one that you have made surgery on and replaced the whole hip on, this one is doing great, but I'm limping because the other one is bothering me. I did take 2 yoga classes and 1 Pilates class, and I could not go beyond that because the other hip was hurting too much, and I was starting to limp. So he made some examinations, I had some scanner and x-rays done and everything. And in March, he said, okay, we can schedule a time for the second hip replacement. And whenever you are ready, you tell me and we make an appointment. And I said, no. We do make the appointment right now, because if I walk out of your office, I'm not coming back until I'm in so much pain like the other time. And no, I don't want to lose my sleep. I don't want to be crying at work because after a couple hours of teaching, I need to cry for half hour in between classes. No. We set up a date right now and before I walk out of your office. So we scheduled it at the beginning of September 2025. So that was less than a month ago. And I was very stressed out once again. But of course, I did know what was going to happen in the big scheme of things, because last year I had very intense neuropathic pains. I'm not sure how you call that. It's pain signals that the nerves send when there is no necessarily real pain to be sending signals about. And it was preventing me, at least in the hospital, from walking. I could not put any weight on my foot, and it lasted for 3 months. Along the line, I did get some treatment. It took a bit of a time before the treatment was decided by the medical doctors at the hospital. But anyway, it did get better with the treatment and the painkillers, local and oral painkillers, and it lasted for about 3 months. And I was very afraid of that for this surgery. So when I went during the months of August, I had 2 full days at the hospital to prep for the surgery. I went to see a cardiologist, anesthesiologist, and what we call the regulation medical doctor, who kind of organizes everything and supervises everything. When the surgeon does one thing, the anesthesiologist does one thing, and the cardiologist monitors one thing. There is one medical doctor that sees the whole picture. And what I told her is that last time I had lost a lot of blood during the surgery, which is not something unusual. And I had not said anything because I did not think it was relevant. But when I am thirsty or when I am hungry, I need to drink right now, and I need to eat right now. Otherwise I have vertigos and I don't feel well and everything. And I know that, and I've been knowing that for a very long time. It's so much part of my life that I don't even think about it, and I don't think about talking about it. I was used to bringing a water bottle with me way before all of the hype for the water bottles that we do have now. I'm always used to bring some kind of little snacks and stuff, or an apple or something, because I know if I want to eat, I need to eat right now. Otherwise, I have no resistance to thirst or hunger. And if my blood sugar goes a bit down, or if my water content goes a bit down, very quickly I don't feel well. And I think it's part of what happened with the first surgery. I did lose a lot of blood. My blood pressure was so low that they had a hard time measuring it at some point. But I was feeling so dizzy that I could not walk. As I could not walk for almost 2 weeks, this kind of neuropathic type of pain took precedence on the rest of the thing, and I could not walk after that either because of that. So the medical doctor who supervises the whole thing said, okay, we are going to be doing better this time around. So once the next day after the surgery, they already decided to give me some kind of iron solution. They almost never use blood now to give to people unless there is a very serious reason for it, because I had said, take some of my blood, give it back to me if I need it, and if I don't, it goes back into the blood bank, whatever. And she said, no, we don't do that. But so she decided to give me the next day, even before we had all of the results of all of the tests they do post-surgery, to give me iron, or some kind of iron supplement solution, and to give me also some plasma type of solution that mimics plasma, so that to restore my internal fluid volume, give me more iron in my, because thing is, they can give you EPO as an intention before surgery, but I was already high enough for my iron content, so there was no medical reason to give me any of that. But as I have a high iron content in my blood and a good, oxygenation of my blood, when I lose it, I don't feel well. So they did replace the volume of the fluids, not blood, but the volume of the fluids and the iron content on the next day, the next morning after the surgery, even before they did test me out. And during that, and the next day, I also had another, plasma type of solution given to me. My blood pressure never went under. I mean, I know in several parts of the world there are some different units. Let's say I have between an 11 and 12 as a normal. And if you have high blood pressure for a very serious medical condition, it's in our units 18 to 20. And I went down to 10. When last year I was below 7. So I was in a very different physical condition. I think this time around I was feeling a bit of a dizziness, but the dizziness I think was the leftover of the anesthesia and stuff like that. And I could walk and stand up with some people. Of course, I was not on my own the very afternoon after the surgery. And the next days, when I was in the hospital proper and after when I was in the physical rehab center, I could walk every day. And I think it's making a world of a difference, because right now I do have some pain, but I just take paracetamol. Since I went back home, I think I took once heavier pain relievers, only once. So I was under pain relievers and heavier pain relievers when I was in the rehab center, so that I can go some physiotherapy and I can go walk at the beginning, because they were saying it's the most important thing is you walk. So you need to have no pain in order to be able to walk. So we are killing the pain for you to walk, so that you can get off of the painkillers, because you will be walking, and all of the drainage, because I had a lot of fluid in my thigh. I still do have a lot of fluid in some point, and where it was hurting me much, it's at that point. And I think it's not only fluid, but I think it's it's a bruise. I'm not sure how you call that, but it's very deep in the thigh. That is quite hurtful, but it doesn't prevent me from walking. And I have been walking every day. When weather was permitting, I was walking in the park of the rehab center. And unfortunately, maybe 5 or 6 days after I was there was a COVID outburst in the rehab center, where there are mostly elderly people who've had some medical conditions that there is no use for them to be in the hospital, but they can't be at home. So, for example, there was one lady that was almost 100 years old. She fell and broke her leg. So, this kind of people, but most of them were elderly people. I think I was in one of the youngest ones. And as there was a COVID outburst, at the moment I was there, we could not go eat together in the restaurant. We were eating in our rooms. We had to wear masks to be walking in the corridors. Of course, we could remove the masks outside. So I did meet some people over there, and we were talking outside, but it was not the same as last time, where there was lots of, common activities, and not that time around. So this is also why I didn't eat a lot, because I had a lot of time in my room, other than the time I was walking in the corridors or outside if it was not raining. So that's also one thing. I did come home a bit earlier because I came back home last Wednesday. So it was 3 weeks after the surgery, because next Wednesday it's going to be a month. And I did come back home a bit early from my other surgery, but I was feeling good enough. Of course, I didn't know that coming back home was going to be a whole other story from being in the rehab center, because there are people who were bringing me food, who were cleaning my room. The physiotherapist, I was in the aisle where there were two physiotherapy rooms. One of them was at the end of my own corridor, and my physiotherapist was in that room. So it was very convenient. Now I have an appointment in 2 days to see the physiotherapist in my own village, but I will have to walk over there. So it was very convenient. But at some point, I was, missing being home, even though I knew it was going to be a whole other story. My cats were boarded for a whole month. So when I went back home, I was alone for 2.5 days with them still in the boarding place. And on Saturday, a friend came and we went to get them. So they're at home now. And I mean, they are doing really fine. The boarding place has made the cat area a bit different. Before they had, cages. I mean, you have to call what it's a cage by its own name, where they would stay for the whole time where they were there. So my lady cat Peluche was alone and the two other ones were together. And the cage was big enough. So it was a cage that was as high of a room. There was like a mezzanine, but it was like maybe 2 meters by 1 meter on the ground. So it was quite small in the end. And so Peluche could stay on her own, but she would not have been able to stay for 3 weeks or a month with any other cat, even mine. So, but two other ones were together. Now they have changed that. They have some kind like a big mobile home that they have repurposed or bought or built for that. So there is a big room and there are 5 cages in that room. So once again, the cage go up to the roof. And so there are in each angles of the room and one in the middle on one side of a big wall. But the mobile home is quite big, and now they can have 5 cages for cats, so it's big enough for 2 cats, but the rest, so they have only 5 when before they had maybe 20 or 25. And the rest of the area is a common room for the cats, and there is a catio outside, so there is a door. When the roof is just some kind of mesh so that the cats can't escape. It's all wooden sides so that because they also raise and board dogs over there. So the cats have their own space, and they have a big outdoor catio where they have installed, branches where they can go up. There are some, cat places they can on the wall they can jump on, and toys everywhere. There are some shelves with cushions in the mobile home inside where they can go and sleep. When the cages are free or without any cats in them, they keep the door open so they have other places they can go to. So I had said, my cats, they are not used to other cats. In my house, they do chase every other cat that comes across my garden and the area where they consider being their own. So that includes gardens from other people too in the neighborhood, my neighbors. And I said, you can try. I'm not sure they will be able to stay with other cats because they don't like other cats. Thing is, and I think because they were not at home, and also because when I dropped them off, there was one additional cat that was there, but he was in his own cage because the owners did not want him to be in the common area. And I said, just try. just try. You know my cats. They've been going to see you Peluche for over 10 years now. So you know them. Just try. If it works, perfect. If it doesn't, well, I had 2 cages reserved for them. And it did work out very well. At first, so they were alone in the common area, and then other cats came in, were boarded there. So I'm not sure they were friends. Don't get me wrong, they were not friends, but at least there was no fights. And they were kind of, walking around and living their own life, and they had a much bigger space. And when I was getting them back after 2 or 3 weeks of boarding over there in the past years, they were, a bit fattier because they had no exercise. This time around, they have the same shape. So that means they had enough exercise, they had good food and water and everything. They had water fountains and food everywhere and litter boxes everywhere too. And the one thing, so they closed the door of the mobile home for the night unless it was very, very warm outside. And they have, cat doors in the main door. I said, you will have to teach them because I don't have any cat door here. I am the cat lady door, and the cat door lady, sorry. But they don't know. If you can teach them, that would be good. But they did not get the hang of it, and they were afraid of the flapping door. So they would bring them inside if they were going to close the door because it was getting too cold during the night. And they figured out a cat that can go outside on its own through the cat door can come back in. So, but they were, I think they are going to be much happier boarded over there with a new system rather than the previous system. Their hair, their coat was very shiny. So I think they were in a very good shape. And at first I was thinking they are going to be mad at me and ignoring me. Not at all. The first night they did all sleep with me. Now only 2 of them sleep with me because my lady cat Peluche has her own way, and she sleeps in different places from a period of time, so she switches out. And she sleeps with me only when it's very cold and she needs some warmth. But the 2 other ones have been sleeping with me for, since I've been home. And when I had, I went for the nap this afternoon, my baby cat was sleeping with me too. So I don't think they are mad at me. They are going outside now, and I kept them inside for a day or a day and a half, and then I let them out because they were asking very, very loudly to go outside. So I did let them out, and I think they were much better. They are much better off in this new organization, even in particular because they are not fighting with other cats. It's not their own environment, so there is no territory involved. And when I went to pick them back up with a friend because I can't drive for now, one cat was in a cage because once again the owners don't want their pet to be with the other ones, so that's fine. But they were, so the 3 of mine, and maybe there were 4 other cats over there, and I think they are allowed to have 15 cats altogether in the main place, plus the 5 cages. So they basically have a bit less room than before, but if the cats can be in the common area, they have, there is enough. So anyway, the cats were happy. I am feeling much better, much less pain than before. I am starting, after a bit less than a month of the surgery, to walk without my stick in the house, not outside, and I've been walking outside. The only thing is, because I've had surgery on my wrists in May, so I have these special sticks you place under your armhole, and then you walk like that. It's very comfortable. Thing is, on the sidewalks, if the floor is not even, it's very uncomfortable to be either too low or too high, respecting, with comparison to where my feet are, if the sidewalk is a bit with an angle or something. So it kind of entices me to be walking without sticks, but I won't do that before I feel very confident. So right now, when I've been walking out, and my son and his girlfriend came yesterday, so we had lunch and we had a bit walk in the neighborhood. I'm walking with only one stick, which is much better than the two ones if the if the floor is not even. And in the house, I start to be walking without the stick. But what I do have it with me, but I don't use it. So for now, it's okay. And I knew I was going to feel better because maybe the second night I was still in the hospital, or maybe the third night, because for 2 nights I had some kind of IV fluids and stuff, so I was not sleeping very well. But the last night I did not have the IV. I still had the needle in place, but I did not have the IV into working. So I woke up, I was on my side, not the side that I had the surgery, but on the other side. And I guess I had turned myself during my sleep, and sleeping on this side is the way I do sleep, and I prefer to be sleeping. And I thought, if in my sleep I did move without waking up to be in my favorite position for sleeping without pain, that was the first good sign I was so happy about. So all in all, it's all much better than the other time. I still have some pain. You see, not last night, but the night before, I did get some more heavier medication because I had some more pain in my thigh, but that was once. And I'm walking. I can walk in a room without using a stick now. So I'm feeling much better. I have much more confidence that I will feel better sooner. I do have an appointment in a bit over 2 weeks now with the surgeon for a checkup after 6 weeks, and then I have another checkup after 12 weeks. And then I go back to work in December. So I am much more confident now. I'm feeling much better. And we are on a Monday, but I'm still a bit slow. So I will need all that time to be editing out the video and for it to be posted on Friday. In the meantime, I'm not going to be talking about the world situation because I've been kind of shielding myself from all of the things that are happening in France and in Europe and outside of the world, because it was too much. I can't do everything. And I will just say that I have been knitting for some of you, of course for all of you, and sending out my little stitches to all of you, of course. But I know that some of you are in particularly, I was to say bad spots, but you have health issues. Some people in your close environment, in your family, have health issues or other kind of issues. And I'm just saying now that I am sending out special, extra happy and soothing little stitches over to you because I need less for myself, and that's a good thing. So yeah, thank you very much, my friends, for being here with me, for allowing me to run that little channel with all of you. It's such a treasure, such a life present that you are offering me, other than, real presents. And I hope that you will be doing good, that you will be able to shield yourself also from the world and make some inner space for yourself where you can feel joy and happiness. And I will send it out over to you, the one of you who need the most. Thanks a lot. Thanks for being here with me. And I hope I will see you next time. 1, 2, 3, 4.